Motherhood. And almost everything that happens around you, unless you have people who are older, to be able to shape what you are trying to do, is really an experiment. As a parent, you are trying something and hoping that it works. Okay. And I think that's how, even with organizations, things are going to be when you bring in people and they don't have a sense of understanding, or they don't have that orientation that they too have a role to play. And leadership does not only mean those at the top. In my last conversation when we were here, I mentioned that even to begin with, leadership for every organization must be defined. Okay?
Right.
If you have not defined leadership for the organization, we'll all come to work with our own definitions. Okay, and for some of us, it may mean the CEO. For some of us, it may mean maybe the board
management.
Okay. For some of us, leadership may mean just making the money. But most of the time, the truth is that the shadow of an organization's leadership is usually in hiding in its vision and mission. But I'm saying once it is not defined, what does leadership mean in this environment? Then we will all saturate it with our own thinking. And if that happens, we can be a people, but we are all headed different directions. And in good faith, thinking
that we're all contributing.
We actually contributing.
Right.
And yet, there's frustration all over the place because we are not aligned by definition. So it begins there. People must know what it means. Here, leadership means showing up at this time, or maybe providing value to the customer this way and that. And so that we know that, okay, what leads to doing that? Those can be more the peripherals for learning, okay, or for even trainings, for conversations, so that we understand that even if we're in the marketing department, whatever we are doing in there is contributing to finally providing that level of value to the customer.
Right. Okay. Now let's go deeper, and I want us to define leadership proper. And I always like to set that particular context. I remember the last time when you came, we had a definition for that, but I'm not asking for a definition really. I'm asking that, is leadership really about position, or it's about the way people think, the mindset? And that's my question.
You see, it's let us not belittle the differences in people. You'll be amazed. I mean, somebody with a first class can get a job, and you'll be surprised they are thinking around some of these subjects. Okay, so that if they are going to work for you at all, you will need to help them settle in terms of their thinking, because it's going to be thinking before position, before whatever. It is going to be thinking, and even if we don't say it, the thinking is going to affect everybody around. And like we mentioned the last time, it's just like the Black Stars. We usually would put together a team of winners. There are winners out there with a certain expectation that once we have all 11 on that pitch, they are superstars on their own. Okay, but once they all arrive on the pitch, it seems as if there's something more than just having superstars play, and that is the big part of what I suppose once you are leading an organization, you are going to have to do. Even if you bring superstars, you are only at the mercy of their thinking. And so you are going to have to then descend back to be able to find a way to shape that sort of thinking. And for organizations, they get the opportunity to choose and somehow test how people think before they come in. That's organization. They are not like churches. Some of us who run a church, you don't get to now, interview and find. In fact, you are there to help people reorient. But I'm saying for organizations, at least, in the marketplace, usually you have the first opportunity to be able to decide who the thinking patterns I want in my space.
Right.
Yeah, which would require that somehow we do some sort of shaping.
Mm.
So, and again, I think the last time, the reason why I shared my definition is at least to sort of get people to understand that this is where I'm speaking
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
And I still remain on that definition that by the, like, when we say somebody is a leader, they sort of are able to journey with people. Okay. But in that journey, the people must find themselves. If you work with people and you get your results, but they don't find themselves, I don't think that is leadership. Okay. So at the end of the day, the people around you must get better, just like the business also gets better. Yeah, so that it's not just about the end, but rather the means even matter, how we kind of get people there.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is that leadership is not a position. It is actually a mindset or a behavior.
Yeah.
But can that exist everywhere, at every level?
Unfortunately, I know that there are roles that are very technical, so technical that sometimes people say, this one, you don't even need any customer service. It's just punching a button every single day. But the person punching that button has feelings. They have emotions.
Right.
Okay. We used to laugh that sometimes whenever the electricity goes off, then we would just be telling ourselves, actually, maybe the guy who works there this morning, he fought with the wife. So he's just at work and out of anger, he has put the thing off.
Yeah.
So people show up with their all, their tendencies, their state of mind, their process, and you will be surprised that maybe somebody at the point where they were even kind of jumping on a trotro to move around, the fighting that happened there, okay, was the first experience he brought in. The first hour of work came from that fight. So, yeah, once we are thinking, species, it's going to take sort of mindset to shape everything we do.
Right.
And leadership really is what we do. Yeah.
So why do so many, if it is about the behavior and mindset, why do so many people or so many employees actually switch it off or switch off when they come to work?
Okay. So,
or when they don't have the title. Yeah.
Again, that's how we have been brought up. So, like in Ghana, people say, oh, maybe I'm doctor this. We have all manner of doctors, and everything, and it's just the way we've been brought up. Okay, we live in a community where your title is also access, can be access. Okay, who you are, if you're able to do something, it's not necessarily the fact that you have the competence, but a title can be enough.
Okay,
for recognition and things like that. And I suppose that deep inside all of us too, there's a certain yearning desire to sort of move forward, to move higher than we are, wherever we sit. So, and a title gives meaning to that for some people.
Okay.
Where once you see that the title has changed from this to that, because most of the time there may not be any other way to measure, their growth. So people perhaps will fall on two things. If it's not their salary increasing, they want to see their title change. And at least that can be proved to them, or at least motivation in the inside that they have arrived at the place of leadership.
Right.
Which to a certain extent is also because we sort of hold leaders in a certain light. When you work in an organization and you see the leader, most of the time nobody must tell you.
Leader.
Yeah. Nobody must tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. The person who calls the shots that we sort of call the leader will be visible in a sense. You see how we want to serve the person. We want to do this for the person. Yeah. When they are coming, we want to open the door for them and things like that.
Yeah.
That kind of privilege is a good enough motivation for everybody to want a title.
True.
So that at least they can also have that feel. These are little things, but on the bigger front, because leaders as we call them, okay, or people who are high up get some sort of privileges, people just want to be there.
And then they'll be called leaders.
Sure.
So maybe I'll just say they're down. They don't see themselves as leaders. They want to get there, enjoy those privileges, and then they can identify as leaders.
Yeah.
Now, what would that look like in practice? I mean, people without authority, without title, without position, and we are saying that they are leaders. What would that look like? Or what does that look like in practice?
You know, the thing is that somehow we should be able to separate position from leadership. Okay, so that there's some kind of understanding, which usually maybe HRs that they do well, honestly, by maybe a job description or how they define maybe roles, a tell of positions much more than leadership. Only that the people who are sort of lower need orientation, to be able to understand that they too play or what they are doing is equally leadership.
Okay.
I suppose what we may not be doing too well is, or we tend to assume that, for example, they must understand that they lead from where they sit. But that assumption does not work. There has to be an intentional process to do that. And what I have seen some organizations do to be able to do that is, one, to practically to treat people as adults, to begin by treating people as adults.
How so?
By that, what I mean is that make people responsible in their space, and they ought to know that they are in full control over that space, and not necessarily dependent on somebody having to say a yes or a no. If I know that, for example, in my office, I have control, okay, there are decisions I make, okay, or there are decisions that I need to make, or that I can make, without necessarily having to find maybe my boss, okay. And I say this cautiously because it is really contextual and can be debatable in any day.
Yes.
But
because as you're speaking, I'm asking myself, is that to say that somebody can just wake up and do anything without following structure, without informing their boss? Is that what it means?
Yeah, which is why I don't want to move too much away from the HR department, because my understanding is that if you did the employing, you already have somebody who should be able to make decisions. Okay. And even if the person is not able to, it should not be the culture that they must lean on another person to make a decision every day or every time. It
emphasis on
every time.
Every time.
Yeah. Because the more you're making decisions for people, the more they begin to look to you to make it. It's like raising a child. If you want to do everything for your child, you can be sure that they will come to you for everything. But at some point, there must be a departure for people to understand that they are. It's up to them. They must get their results. They must stand to, and this may even mean that sometimes, for maybe a reporting matters, it doesn't have to be you, the one who is on top or leading the team, doing that every time, okay? Or maybe even in meetings, it's not always you, more like driving the conversation, but maybe you can let your team once in a while switch around, have people also sit in that seat and have a feel of how driving a conversation, really is. Those little things are empowering, okay? And for some people, it's even it's a full awareness, because even though they are working, they expect the boss, okay, to do or to eat the frogs, like Brian Tracy would say, to take the hard, decisions. But sometimes people who are lower must be allowed to do that, especially when the consequence of the decision making is not too dire. Okay. It is how you empower people to also be able to own their space. Because one of the biggest things, if you see anybody and you are going to call them leader at all, most of the time what you see is ownership. Okay. Ownership is one of the biggest things you will see around the people that we sort of call leader. Whether they are leaders or not. And you want that to happen to the people who are also coming up, owning their space. And the way to do that is to really posture in a way that is empowering, and if possible, some decisions sit with them. And at a point where maybe you even need to make very high-level decisions, they also come in terms of consultations and things like that. It makes people kind of appreciate that there's a certain value placed on them. And so they tend to now want to give off their best, knowing that their voice may change, the game plan.
So, how much of ownership, responsibility, room for initiative can you give to employees without harming the organization in any way?
Okay, so I suppose this is why we don't assume that people know what they are doing. Okay, the fact that even if you employ a receptionist, don't assume they know what they are doing, or don't assume that the role is just receiving guests. So most of the time, these things lie much more, again, at the point of entry, on the quality of person you are bringing, and to the ongoing, personal development journey that you take the person on.
Okay.
And I have, in sometimes my coaching or maybe mentoring sessions, told people the way you improve on the quality of your decisions, especially when you are much more maybe on the lower level now rising, is when you begin to ask the why behind decisions. So by that, what I mean is that the more, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a founder, whoever, when people make decisions, people at the helm of affairs, when they make decisions, they have a why. You'll be amazed that it can be as simple as maybe moving a table to the left, okay, or showing up in the morning at 7.
And you are thinking, this is not anything.
Yeah. I mean, this is nothing. Yeah. Why should we paint this place blue? I mean, red will be better. And the person insists that, no, let's do blue. Okay. And most of the time, if you want to, because at the end of the day, you must think like your employer. That's success. It's like, if you don't think like them, or unless they want to allow you to think beyond that scope, most of the employers expect thinking that aligns with their
them,
own sort of. So the more you are getting people to understand the why behind decisions, the more the quality of their own decisions begin to go up. Okay, because what it does is that it makes them pay more attention. Now, when they look at things, they see, they think.
Right.
And sometimes, for example, an organization can once in a while maybe bring in a junior person even into management meetings to sit in and observe what is going on in the room. How decisions are being made, the sort of thinking that is going on around. Or sometimes when people who are even higher above us make decisions when we are around, it should not be too fast. They must sit us down later, okay, to explain or to have a conversation around the why
that decision was taken.
Exactly. Okay. And the more you are giving people room into the why, what you are doing is that you are giving them, or you are pressing them to the wall to begin to think beyond just final decisions. So now for every decision, they know that there's a reason. Okay. And that sort of reasoning, as it continues, as people begin to think about beyond decisions, okay, why are we doing this? So why? The more we are understanding the why, okay, it begins to affect our own way of making decisions. When we are also making decisions, we begin to think deeply about, okay, what does this really mean? Rather than just rushing it and then making, decisions on the go.
Now, if a leader has been able to try some of these things you're saying, for instance, allowing room, giving room to
Sure.
The employees to actually take certain initiatives. They've given them some tasks and they feel that abysmally.
Yeah.
What would a leader like that? They'll lose some sort of trust in the competence of this stuff.
You know, the last time I mentioned that leadership is tough, but what makes leadership tough is the soft parts of leadership. Okay. Leadership is a hard thing, but it is the soft parts that makes it hard. And by that, what I mean is that, yes, people are going to fail. Okay. The earlier you begin to take people on this sort of journey where you are giving them perhaps low-hanging fruits, where decision is not a very high-level decision that requires a complexity of thought and all that. Okay. You take people bit by bit. So that at some point, every decision people are going to make, they will need help in making that kind of decision. Okay, but it should not be that's not the only destination. For example, when I'm sort of even maybe working with a young person, most of the time, will tell them not to make decisions alone. Okay, if you're going to make any decision, let's talk. And in that conversation, all I'm trying to find out is, why are you doing this? Okay, and most of the time, for people who are that young, they usually don't have a very firm reason for the things they are doing. And so I would tend to then tell them maybe how I would have made the decision and my whys behind that. And sometimes I even have people just walking alongside, sometimes I'm traveling and I intentionally call somebody, or maybe I tell the team, can you have this person? I want to travel with this person. Okay.
Yeah.
Intentionally make that choice of who I want to travel with. And the mindset or the mind behind that choice is that once we walk, there are decisions I'll be making. And as I make those decisions, I want us to be talking about why I make those decisions. Okay. It is more like, instead of putting the person in a room and doing PowerPoints, let's work together.
Okay. Right.
And as we walk, travel, meet people, have issues, maybe get into a problem on the road, buy things on the street, there's a certain way that all that will be done by the supposed more leader. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, when you are doing that, people who are around you must understand the why.
Okay.
Because that is how you get them finally where we are talking about. You get them to a point where they can make decisions. As for disappointments, of course, unless you employed one of the best of the best of the best,
right,
expect that people will fall. Okay, expect that people, and when they fall, don't be surprised. Sometimes even the response we give to people who are fallen becomes a reason why they probably never rise. Because they were attempting something that perhaps was slightly bigger than them.
Okay,
it's maybe the reason why they fell. And so sometimes you want to interrogate it as more a learning than a punishment or making people feel inadequate.
Right.
And that in itself is able to kind of get people still trying on and on. But as for failure, it is going to happen. It's my expectation that leaders, or maybe the people who are seen as leaders, to be able to have that heart to accommodate.
Right. But there should be some sort of grace,
exactly,
to allow that.
Yeah.
I lead people, and so these things that you are saying, I'm learning a lot from them, and I'm really glad that we're having this conversation. We're going to talk about some other things shortly, but let me just announce the phone lines in case anybody is listening to us and we want to join a conversation. So, if you just tuned in, it's exactly 32 minutes after 9. This is the Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nichwebi Hammond. And this morning, we're having a conversation on leadership, and we're asking that can organizations succeed without employees thinking like leaders? Can organizations succeed without employees thinking like leaders? And my guest is Mr. Prince Ampofo. He is a leadership coach, and he's helping us make sense of exactly what we're talking about this morning. You're free to join the conversation. Send us a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, and we'll read your messages for you. You can also call us on the same number. Ask all your questions. The phone lines are open now, so feel free to call and ask your questions this morning. 0544321019 or 030-3956641, 030-3956641. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please drop a comment there and I will read them for you. And if there's a question, Master Prince will respond to that accordingly. All right, let's continue the conversation. So we've spoken about leadership. We've spoken about it not being a mindset. It being a mindset and not just by position or authority or title and all of that. And we've also spoken about the fact that there should be some room, you know, for initiative and all of that. But I still want to know how much of an organization's failure has got to do with the leadership problem, quote and unquote, versus an employee accountability problem. I don't know if you get the question.
If you want to explain what the leadership problem means.
So people at the top, problem.
Okay.
Versus failure of the employees. Yes.
Okay. I'm not be able to tell in terms of the statistics.
Yeah.
Sure. I will be fair to both sides. Okay. I think it's if you put the balance at 50-50, you will not be too far from wrong. Okay. And at least from my experience. And the reason being that, just like what we are discussing, okay, an employee or employees come in not necessarily thinking, okay, that they themselves have such a big bargain to give. If somebody sits behind a counter in a banking hall, maybe a teller attending to a customer, they don't know that the one customer that they are dealing with contributes that much significance to the whole organization's, perhaps vision or the mission. Once in a while, they may angrily respond, okay, forgetting that that person is the reason why they are sitting where they are sitting, okay. And it takes the people who we say are the top, who must bring that awareness to the people that we are trying to get in the room. You ultimately, as because the organization will be driven by obviously the both employees and the employer. Yeah. But if you are an employer, I guess what I'm saying is that don't assume that the people below necessarily know what you are trying to achieve. Okay. There's usually some sort of disconnect between what the employer is actually looking to do and why we are doing what we are doing. Okay. Sometimes it's easier for even the employee to know what we are doing, but not understand why. Okay. And I have said that even their understanding why is not enough. It is knowing what we are doing, why we are doing it, and also how it connects to my personal development.
Okay.
It's my definition.
So there's a small part of the employee also in there.
Yeah, there must be the employee's inner motivations plugged in
Can we give a typical example? So if I get you well, what we are saying is that, so for instance, there's a chair that must be moved to a particular point in the office, and leadership says that move this chair to this place. An employee thinks that oh, this is nothing. Where it is, it affects nobody.
Yeah.
What you are saying the leadership should do is move this chair to this place, and this is why. And in the long run, this is how it benefits you. Is that what you're saying?
This is how it benefits us.
As the organization. I mean, everybody in the organization. Really.
Because you can take, employees are adults, okay? They know that whatever decision an employer makes benefits them.
Okay.
So let's not even take that employer out. Okay. But a certain really appreciation or understanding for everybody around to sort of get that what we are doing is how we all get to where we are going.
The results.
And I've said a typical, maybe a very practical, will be that understanding that, for example, the people that I have employed. See, there's a reason. I have always stood on my grounds that there's a reason why people take a salary. Okay, it's not that I know people need a salary, but they need a salary for something else. Okay.
Yeah.
And what do they need that salary for? Maybe some of the things that employers can explore when we are talking about how we also care for others.
Others, right?
Okay. As a pastor, I can speak for my church. What I do is that apart from all the spiritual, development that we do, I have a very strong case on, career development, personal development, to the point that sometimes there are even times that I go to teach PowerPoint presentations myself. Bringing in resource persons here and there. You have been there to speak.
Yeah, I've been there to speak.
So imagine that sometimes there are people as I sit here now, I've given assignment. I expect that in 2 or 3 weeks' time, they must know how to type with their eyes closed. Okay. And why am I doing all that, even though this is church? It is because, even what the Lord is trying to do with people require some level of competence to be able to do it well. That version of you will not be the best to do that. We can help people do that by providing another arm to be able to help do all those things. I have more like a personal development, unit where people have to go for conferences, people have to do all manner of things. Sometimes maybe put somebody in touch with a mentor here, there, so that you can get them developing those areas of their lives. You don't want somebody knowing the Lord and becoming a bad father or maybe failing as a mother because those areas were not spoken of. The Bible in itself addresses every area of our lives. But I'm saying you have to take intentionality for the leader not just to be logged on perhaps just making profits, but rather wanting to make sure that those other areas are sort of attended to. And when we do that, employees recognize those additions. In almost every, in my experience, every time I have seen employers do something extra, thinking, whether it is even trainings, putting people in shadow meetings, like whatever, they see the value. Employees realize the kind of value that has been provided for them.
Right.
Yeah. And it is the way you get them walking alongside, holding on to what you are building.
Let's move on. There's a particular question on my mind, but I want us to move away from that because there's a lot of things we have to discuss, and our time is already far spent. Now, at what point do you know that your employees really do not have a sense of ownership or they lack ownership at the workplace? How do you know? What are the things? What are the subtle signs that you I mean, that will make you see that?
When it's 9 a.m. in the morning and the lights on the compound are on, and it has to take, maybe the owner or the CEO to say, can we put the lights off? Then you know that clearly there's not
A sense
a
of
culture of ownership
and responsibility.
Yeah. And when I say these things, I also don't want to blame employees, because I think in our society, these things, we must talk about these things. If you are not talking about them, don't expect to come and see the lights off. Once in a while, putting people in a room and having a light touch conversations around how we can be human around the work environment. Some of the things, little things we can do. It's how you bring people's awareness to some of these things. So people checking and ensuring that the lights are off, if minor things. So, for example, you are walking by the compound and you see that the place is even littered a little, or maybe there's the water. Okay, there's a problem somewhere, so that there's a pipe, a leakage somewhere.
Yeah.
And that leakage has been there for weeks. Nobody has sort of brought it up, with anybody, and it has to take. If it has to take the owner to see that, then obviously that's not a lack of
Right. So there's no sense of ownership. So how do we move people, employees, or how can an employee move from that level of zero sense of ownership to now I have to take initiative? And I don't want to talk about leadership helping employees do that. I'm talking about employees themselves beginning to think. How can an employee begin to think like that?
In fact, I'm happy that, you're asking this question. I think that one of the biggest, if you are working for anybody, you have an opportunity. Okay. Working for somebody gives you an environment to be able to apply your skills. It's always a learning process. But even to be able to learn or to have experience, you need a room to be able to do that. Okay. Sometimes, even if you don't have a room, you create your room.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it is in another person's garden. It's by cultivating another person's garden that we find ours. And I have said that even when Joseph had a dream, his dream put him in a pit. It was another man's dream that put him in the palace. Okay.
Right.
So you can have your own dreams, but you are going to need another man's dream. Okay. And by that, what I mean is that when you wake up, go to any work environment, it's an opportunity for you. You are learning how to speak. You are learning how to perhaps maybe if you are in finance, more do the numbers. Some people may not have, perhaps even gotten to know how to use a software if it wasn't for their organization. Sometimes it's an organization T-shirt that allows you into some rooms you may not have ever been able to enter. Okay, so there's more leverage on the side of the employee, even more than the employer. If the employer must go and see even the president of this country and he is sick, someone may have to go on his behalf. And it is a privilege for employees, many privileges for employees working in any environment at all. Even if the environment is not conducive, believe me, it will still provide you opportunities of learning in many ways. So it is that kind of thinking that employees must bring to a work environment.
Seeing the whole thing like I'm given this opportunity. And that is how I think. I mean, I see it as a trust.
Exactly.
This person thinks that you can do this and they put you there.
And unfortunately, because they are human, they cannot be there every day. Okay. And if they are not there and they are believing that you will do well, that's quite high trust. Some people who come to work, even in their houses, they are not even given that level of trust. Okay.
Yeah, and that's true.
But you come into an environment where somebody
Gives
you a whole company car, okay, and says, "Oh, you are the one who moves."
So your father doesn't even give you his car.
Exactly.
He doesn't trust you.
Okay. And so there's a certain high level of opportunities on the side of the employer. Even being able to walk away any day. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's an opportunity. For the employer. Okay.
Because the employer can't say he's moving.
Exactly.
I mean, he's leaving.
Yeah. When things go south,
he still stays.
He stays.
Try to
it's
put
mostly
things
at his
together.
loss. So one is that going to work must be seen as a privilege. Okay. Not because people say these days there are no jobs and all that. It's not because of that. I don't think that statistics must necessarily be our drive. Okay. But it's just like you said, it's a privilege of trust. Somebody giving you, being a custodian of another man's business. Okay. The Bible has said it. If you cannot be accountable to another man's business, who gives you yours? And the many parts, tentacles of it. That is where I'm learning. And I mean, imagine that you are just out of school, now in the world of work. This is where I'm learning how to talk to people. This is where I get to be able to make mistakes at a lower level. Because as I rise in my career, the mistakes that I used to commit when I was a junior staff, when I commit that same mistakes at a higher level, usually the consequences are there.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Okay. So this provides me the opportunity in a real world simulation or situation to be able to now attempt bit by bit, make my errors at that level, polish them up, and keep going. I mean, look around. When we look around at people, as people climb up, they become better. At what they do. So that kind of learning and appreciation that where I am now, okay, or where I'm headed, I'll be able to get there because of where I am now. Okay, so I don't play with where I am now.
And that should actually bring some sense of responsibility and also a mindset shift.
Exactly. So you go there wanting to provide more value in that environment. You want to really make a statement. You want to leave an indelible mark. You want to be the difference maker as you go there, because in your mind you understand that this is my first opportunity, or at least for now in this season of my life, I get to do this learning and drawing all the experiences as I climb up.
Okay. Right. So employees should see it as an opportunity and be able to leverage it and also be willing to contribute to all of that. Is there anything leadership, not leadership, I don't want to use that. I want to, because everybody is a leader. Is there anything employers can do to sort of create that environment for the employees to also begin to think like that, or to be able to take initiative without necessarily, I don't know if you get the question, yes. But is there anything that employers can also do to challenge the employees to be able to do something?
Yeah, there's a tendency as an employer to quickly think skills when you are thinking about the people you work with. And yet it will be clear to you in just about a week that what you need from them is more than skills, and that you need them more also on the soft touches and here and there. I think what employers can do a lot of things. I mean, they are more like the custodian of the climate, okay, of the area of work.
Okay.
By showing up with one, even their face can be the reason why maybe that day everybody moves around hiding. Okay, so again, for me, what I have seen is that the more the more people see that, like, they get a sense that they are adults. Okay, and by that I mean they know that the decisions are left to them if they are able to. And even if they are not able to, they are in a process of making lighter, smaller decisions. And sometimes it even means letting them know that, oh, you know, we are still learning the decision making. At some point, I will not make these decisions. Okay. So as we go, be open about, you know, with questions.
Right.
Ask the whys behind all that is happening. The more people have a sense of they too can make decisions.
Okay.
Usually, they come to work with a different posture, because they know they matter. If they think that is up to their boss, they will do their part, but they do their part with a thinking that you are ultimately the one who is going to call the shots,
Okay.
even at the smallest of things. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't expect so. For example, you can go somewhere, and even if it means getting water or getting like little things, moving chairs somewhere, it has to be a CEO decision. No. Okay. It means that nothing moves when you are not there, because people have been cultured like that. They have relied so much on you that on the day that you need them not to rely on you, they will repeat
still have
the
to
same
wait for
thing.
you.
Exactly.
Okay. Our time is up and we have to go. Maybe, but my focus, I mean, for this conversation, we actually said that our focus is the employee. Just trying to shift the mindset of the employee so that they can actually begin to think a bit differently. If there's any employee listening to us, apart from the opportunity you talked about, seeing the things, I mean, seeing the whole job and all of that as an opportunity, what mindset shift should that employee actually have from today? And what necessary steps must they take? And then maybe what would be the results? So it's a 3-part question. Okay. The A is, what mindset shift does the employee need? B is, what should they do? When they do that, what would that action actually, or what would be the impact of that particular action? Yes. Okay. 3-part question.
You know, I've always said that it's like the garden of Eden. Okay. And in my thinking, it's like the world is huge, but when you make your garden the world will become your garden. Okay.
Explain.
So the smaller space, the small office you have been given, that's your garden.
Your garden. Okay.
But you must work in that garden as if you are working in the world. As if it must, small things.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's any employee listening, what I'll tell them is the like small things must become big things in their thinking whenever they are in a work environment, because that's how you do not overlook every learning that ought to happen around you. So somehow the small things, getting to work early, writing an email, engaging a customer who is angry, small things. Okay. Little things, at the end of the day, must be seen as huge.
Okay.
When you have that mindset, even the lights being on at 9 a.m. is like it's trouble for you. Small things, when small things become very big in your thinking, you go to the work environment, paying attention to everything small.
Okay. Because you see it as something big. Right.
So you walk in there and you understand that, you even understand that your employer is a human being. Because sometimes because we have more like a transactional relationship with our employer, sometimes we forget that they have a life. Okay, they have family, they have friends. Things may have gone bad for them too on the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
But you are expecting that your boss to show up feeling strong no matter what has happen to them.
That's a tragedy.
But when small things are big for you, that is what leads to even employees caring for whoever they work with beyond transaction.
Right.
Yeah, that sometimes you want to know what is really wrong. And once you have that kind of mindset, okay, it's everybody goes to work trying to do what has been written down for them. Okay. But when small things become big things for you, you do more than your job description.
When small things become big to you, you do more than your job description.
Yeah.
And what would that do to the company?
When you do that, first to you, the individual, you are building a certain skill,
right,
or even a certain attitude to work.
Yeah.
Which over the long haul, it benefits you. For the organization, and that is how you get your next paycheck. Okay. Because one of these days, if everybody is going to do the negative, there will not be an organization to go to.
Yeah, that's true.
We have seen amazing organizations in this country collapse after years. So let's not pretend that things will be okay every day. But the employer, it is your responsibility to think beyond your paycheck. See that this opportunity is much more for you. There are many things an employee benefits working.
Yeah,
much more than the employer.
That's true.
So at the end of the day, if the organization survives, it helps the employer much more.
Right, and the employee.
Yeah, the employee.
As well. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Master Prince Amphafo. Really grateful that you came. Thanks so much for always sharing these deep insights. Hopefully we can, I'll talk about that over there. I mean, off air. But thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
right. So that was Master Prince Amphafo. I call him Master Prince. Yes, Master Prince Amphafo. He's a leadership coach, and he joined us this morning. We've been talking about whether organizations can succeed without employees thinking like leaders. And one thing is certain from this conversation, that leadership is not title. It's not a title. It's not a position. It's not just authority. Leadership is actually your mindset. And as an employee, there is a role you have to play. You have to begin to see your job as an opportunity or a privilege of trust. And that alone should be able to shape your thinking in how you approach work. And I hope this conversation inspires somebody to actually do better in the kinds of things that they do. Yes, but thank you so much for listening to us. And thanks so much to Master Prince Amphafo for joining us this morning for this conversation. That's how we wrap up today. We're back again tomorrow for more interesting conversations right here on the Business Breakfast on Zed at exactly 6:15. My name is Nitra Bihamo.